Hey everyone, if this is not a comic book review show, then my name's not Beardo, you're not watching Minutia Minute, and I have not ordered my comics from least favorite to most favorite. It is an incredibly DC-centric week. I actually dug around this week's titles and scrounged up a non-DC book and picked it up just to make sure I had a little bit of variety in this review. I apologize for all the DC-ness of it. I like to have more variety, but towards the end of the month, most of the indie books that I get have already come out, and as a result, the last week is always pretty DC heavy. So, without further ado, I have the least favorite book I picked up this week, and been at the bottom of the pile for a while now, and it is Aquaman #9. So this book is really not working for me. The thing I liked about Aquaman when it started was he was very much a fish out of water character, no pun intended. He's clearly a character that's out of his element, and everyone's sort of laughing at him, both in front of and behind his back. But then when it comes time to kick ass, he's a great ass kicker. And so, you got that sort of great sort of love-hate relationship with the people he's protecting. And I really, really dug that. I thought that was a great tone for the book. And in the first 4 issues, you kind of kept getting reminded of that. After the first 4, we kind of moved on to a couple of different sort of one-off stories. And then we dug into Aquaman's past with the Others storyline, which continues in this issue. This is part 3. And the more we dig into Aquaman's past, honestly, the less satisfied I am with the character and the direction that this book is headed. And it really is all culminated with issue 9. I just don't care that much about the Others. I don't like the Aquaman characteristics that are coming out of his character based on his history with the Others. He's just gone from being sort of, at the beginning of this series, kind of a little gosh, wow, gee whiz kind of a character, to the dark, brooding, angry, vengeful Aquaman that I just don't really care that much about. And it, like I said, it really culminated with this issue. At the end of the issue, you find out a very specific thing about his past that makes him a very dark character indeed. And it was so derivative and so just uninteresting to me that this could well be my last Aquaman review. I definitely have to make cuts somewhere, and Aquaman is definitely one of the weaker links in the New 52 right now for me, so you may or may not see issue 10. We'll see. Alright, but on a lighter note, next up, a little lower on my list than usual, but nevertheless a good book, it was The Flash #9. And as promised, at the end of issue 8, we get Gorilla Grodd this time around, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoy seeing Gorilla Grodd in this book. Art in it is always fantastic. The only reason this particular issue was a little lower on my list than usual was, as I said last month, this book is really getting kind of the OMAC treatment, where it's kind of a one-off story every time, sort of one villain, one issue, but at the same time it's all sort of building towards something a little bit bigger. That continues with this issue. However, there are so many other sort of loose ends from previous issues that just aren't really getting resolved and aren't really properly getting attended to, that I feel like this book was just a little bit off this month. There are probably 2 or 3 storylines from earlier issues, some of which are touched on in this book, and some of which are just sort of completely ignored. And then at the end of the book, we sort of have the tease to the next villain, which is sort of going off in its whole own, new direction as well. So as a result, you're just kind of left, wanting answers for the stuff that's already happened, and you're just not getting it. Now, it's okay to leave things sort of unattended to for a while, but you do have to at least, give it lip service, and, in a way that's kind of satisfying, because, it's going to be a whole nother month before we have another Flash book, and this book just didn't quite hit the mark for that reason. Otherwise, though, it was a great read. Love Gorilla Grodd, love the artwork. Pick it up. All right, next up, another title that I'm always very excited for. This issue in particular, the final Night of the Owls crossover. We're going back to the Old West with All-Star Western. And the thing that's really great about this book is, I mean, if you're reading already, you know that in issue 8, we're right in the middle of a story. We go into issue 9, and there's a real danger that this Night of the Owls crossover could just be kind of a one-off, and we're going to completely interrupt the story we're in, and then come back to it later, kind of a thing. But it doesn't. Frankly, you could take this banner off, and this book would be exactly the book that we would have gotten otherwise. The Owls tie-in that happens in this book is very natural to the story, makes a whole lot of sense, and all around is really, really well written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti. So, fantastic read. We get sort of the conclusion of this sort of story arc. We have the departure of Cinnamon and Nighthawk from both the main title and the backup story. So we have a little bit of a void there, and I'm excited to see what comes next. The next backup story is going to be Batlash. Way excited for that. And as far as supporting cast members in the main story, we lost Nighthawk and Cinnamon, as I said, but we gain somebody new that is from Jonah Hex's past. Speaking of Jonah Hex's past, there's a very interesting tidbit of information that he let slip to Jeremiah Arkham that was very, very interesting indeed, and I'm excited to see how that develops. I have a theory about it, but I have to go back and reread some previous issues of All-Star Western before I give away my theory, because I could be just kind of silly. We'll see. Anyway, issue number 9 of All-Star Western, great read, always a great read, pick it up. Alright, next up is a title that I haven't been picking up regularly, but I did pick up the last couple issues, and I'm excited to continue. It is I, Vampire, issue number 9, and we are seeing just where Andrew Bennett and all of his vampires went off to. They're in boring old Utah, and it is mentioned several times just how boring Utah is in this book, which was fun. The vampires that he's leading are definitely, they're sort of in a love-hate relationship with him because he is extremely powerful now, but they're not confident where his loyalties lie, and so there's a lot of give and take from the storyline and how his relationship with the vampires is kind of realized. And it all culminates with, as usual, Mary Queen of Blood testing their relationship on new levels. As always, great stuff. This is a title that if I had the money, I would have been picking up from issue 1. I enjoyed the first issue when I read it, but it was just one of those I had to make cuts somewhere. After the crossover with Justice League Dark, though, I just couldn't resist, and I'm really glad I'm back on board with this book because it's a pretty good read. We get to see what Andrew Bennett's some of what Andrew Bennett is capable of now with his newfound powers, and the way he uses it against some sort of back road Utah trash is very, very cool. Very, very great moment there. Another really great moment is we get to see the Van Helsings. And yes, I do mean plural Van Helsings. And if you read this book, you will know exactly what I mean. Really, really great read. A lot of great sort of hints of what's to come. Great cliffhanger involving Mary Queen of Blood. Can't wait to see the next issue. It is going to be all-out war. Alright. Penultimate issue I picked up was the random non-DC book I got. And it was a book I had no intention of getting going in, but I wanted some variety, and I started leafing through it, and it really intrigued me. And I was glad I picked it up, because, as I said, it's my penultimate issue this week. It was Star Wars, Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison. It's a 5-issue miniseries from Dark Horse, and this was a really, really good book. It's misleading. It's not necessarily a Darth Vader story, even though he's all over the cover and all over the title. He's actually very much in the background, and I hope they keep it that way. We'll see as the story develops how direct main character Darth Vader is going to become. The person we do follow is a recent graduate from sort of like the Imperial Officers Academy, and it's this fellow right up here, and he's, as you can see, he's a little bit deformed. He's lost an arm, and he's clearly been victim of some kind of burn or something, and there's definitely some metaphor going on with his sort of split face. Doesn't have a split personality like another split-faced individual that we know, but he's definitely a torn character. He's sort of caught in the mix between sort of the empire that he's sworn to serve and sort of the moral, social, political needs that his friends are sort of caught up in the middle of. Again, this is a story that takes place between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, so this is very much the Empire sort of finding its footing, and it's all about, you know, what side people are going to be on and what choices they're going to make. This book has some really phenomenal artwork. It's one of the main reasons I picked up the book and decided to get it, was that the artwork is really solid. It's not a typical sort of Star Wars-y artwork like we're used to from some of the other Star Wars books like Legacy and Dawn of the Jedi most recently, but it really fits this story to a T so far. As I said, it's mostly about this particular officer, and Darth Vader really doesn't come in until the very end. And I'll show you. Our main character gets sort of caught up in the middle of this big battle after ejecting, which I was on the previous page. Great sort of full page art there. And he is caught up in a fight that Darth Vader is in the midst of, and that is a cool shot too. Overall, this is a great book. For being a book that doesn't really have too much Darth Vader, when Darth Vader's in there, he is kicking some serious butt. So, if you're not picking this book up, I really, really do actually recommend it. I really wouldn't have expected to, because it's just kind of a mini-series. I don't really do mini-series, and I try not to get too many Star Wars books, but this is definitely the best Star Wars book I've read in several years, actually, so great read. Alright, last but not least, the best book I picked up this week was a book that is always at the bottom of my list. But finally, thank you, Jeff Lemire, for taking over Justice League Dark. Gone is the wishy-washy, we're not a team, and we're never going to be a team, and we're in the same book together, but we have no direction and no resolve to get anything done. It's funny because at the top here it says new members, but it's really more like new team, because there has not been a team in this team book until issue 9. Finally. And the great thing about it is, you know, all the characters are here. The characterization is spot on. The new characters they introduced really fit into the story well. Jeff Lemire has done a good job of picking people who are really going to add to the balance of the team and give it really a lot of dynamic, as opposed to a lot of sort of disparate people. They're still disparate, but their characters really interact with each other in a way that's much more dynamic than the first 8 issues of this particular Justice League incarnation. And all in all, it was just a fantastic read. The very beginning kicks off with them as a team, no question. We get right into the thick of things, and it isn't until towards the end of the first third of the issue that we get into the nitty-gritty of how the team ended up getting back together. They get back together in a matter of pages, as opposed to a matter of 6 issues, and even then, they never really got together. All in all, though, this book is just fantastic. I am so much happier with this title. I'm glad I stuck it out, because Jeff Lemire is definitely going to be taking this to new heights. So, that was my pick of the week, and we also picked up Star Wars, Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison, I, Vampire, number 9, All-Star Western, number 9, The Flash, number 9. Can you tell it's a DC-centric week when every issue is number 9? And then finally, Aquaman, number 9. Possibly the last time you'll see this book in my review show. Alright, so that concludes this week's books. what did you pick up? I am excited to hear what you're picking up that I'm not. I'm excited to hear what you thought of what I picked up. All of these things I would love to read in my comment box down below. So thumb up this video if you liked it, and subscribe up above if you're not subscribed already. And thank you everyone for all of your support. I have had a lot of people subscribing to my channel lately. I just want to quick say thank you, and I hope that you continue to enjoy my videos. So with that, I'm out of here. Everyone have a great Wednesday and a great rest of your week. Bye.